There he is. How are you? Good morning. Coffee Conversations with Greg J is on Tuesday, a week since we went to the polls, election day. Half the races, we still don't know what the heck is going on. It's really something, isn't it? Man, so we want to talk about it this morning. Got Carolyn Fowler with us. Good morning. Carolyn, how are you?
Greetings, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg, thank you for dancing with you on the reflections of the election.
That's right. After the dance, we've been hearing all of these, just bombarded with, commercials on the radio, commercials on TV. They even texting us. How they get my number? It's really something.
It's amazing how they can find you. Let me just tell you. That's what the voters say. How did you get my number?
Right. Well, now, hey, we're a week since we went to the polls, or at least since election day, because you could mail in your ballot. It could have went in, early. Lots of ways to get your ballots in. What's your assessment thus far? Why does it take so long? That's what I think everybody's asking now. Why don't we know the results of these elections?
Well, I think when you understand that there are 22 million registered voters in this state, and so we only had a roughly a 30% turnout, it still gets down to accurately counting each vote. Their registrars are certainly feverishly doing just that with the poll workers, get everything in, and then the staff now. But if you understand, even today, LA County still has 1 million ballots to count. And take that very seriously. We have processes. They check the signatures. And what's good one, any person can go and observe. I suggest a lot of people, if you observe the process, then you understand how thorough they are and why it does take longer. But the good news is it will be inaccurate. And that's the key, important thing for us. We're no small county by any stretch of the imagination. We probably command the largest number of resources. And when you understand how large geographically the county is, so you have to helicopter in ballots or sheriffs drive in ballots from the surrounding area, the LA County. But we want to be sure that we're not using accuracy. And so that does contribute to it a lot. Right. And then they do constant reporting.
Yeah, I'm right here. I have up on the screen.
Yesterday
I have right up here on the screen the live feed. I guess that's from the county website to see where all of the results are. And like you said, it says 30% voter turnout. Now, is that the people that actually went to the polls, and then the one in the black on the bottom, that's the mail-in ballots, or is this combined? Are these combined numbers? It's 30%. That's still kind of low.
Yeah, and predominantly what they have left, it is very low when you think there's 22 million people that are registered. But unfortunately, while it's low, it is surpassing past turnout. So the message of turning out did get through to people this time a little more so. I think you have to take into account that a lot of people hear that when things don't change immediately or change over time, that regrettably they feel their vote doesn't count. However, they need to understand a no vote is a vote. And then I feel that it is a vote for the oppressor, because getting the things that you need in your community because you didn't vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Wow.
have a large education gap to fulfill in that aspect. Um, I guess I would talk to you initially about a national perspective as a DNC member and Democratic National Committee member and chair of the Women's Caucus for the state party. We're very proud of what has occurred. Not for anybody to get, but women and democracy prevailed this election day.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just a history election, MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
So the relentless fight for reproductive rights paid off. We turned out in record numbers and showed America and the world that we do care about our rights. And we won critical races and created historic firsts,
Mm-hmm.
including passage of all 5 ballot measures in codifying reproductive rights from Michigan to Kentucky. Even in Kentucky, they were
Wow.
saying, no,
Yeah.
we don't want to lose our rights. Yeah,
Right.
so I'm very proud of that, but the work must continue.
Mm-hmm. You know, I see that they finally called the governor's race down there in Arizona that now is Democratic, eh? A woman
Yes,
too.
we
Yeah.
did
Mm-hmm.
very well. Yes, Katie Hobbs in
Mm-hmm.
uh, Arizona. Many of us worked on that, and because Arizona are close to us,
Mm-hmm.
those are the states we typically reach out to right away to support. Um, Moscow, we had to help her. We had a whole Moscow Monday campaign to
Wow.
pull her through.
Mm-hmm.
But
Now,
the labor union in Las Vegas, they did a great job.
mm-hmm. Now I'm curious about Georgia, right? Okay, so how does Herschel Walker stand a chance against Raphael Warnock? Why is that one headed to runoff? Oh my goodness.
Well, if you understand the state of Georgia, and unfortunately, let me just start at the top of the ticket. Stacey Abrams was not successful, even
Mm-hmm.
though we owe a debt of gratitude for the infrastructure and the organization, along with
Mm-hmm.
other organizations that built an infrastructure in Georgia. But the fact that she was not successful was going to also uh, impact the Senate race as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting to me is that uh, Herschel Walker, who doesn't even live there, he was in Texas minding his own business. It's
Right.
almost similar to the Fetterman situation. Oz was living in New Jersey, not in
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania, and they just move someone in like a carpetbagger and surround them with resources and funding and high profile Republicans, and for them to say, this is our person and this is who you should vote for. And some people are going to follow the lead no matter what. It's about power and
Mm-hmm.
control, and they understand that. However, fortunately for us at this point, while we certainly plan to win Georgia as well, it's not as a critical factor in that we are already holding the Senate with 50
Mm-hmm.
votes plus Kamala Harris. But we would like to have that extra cushion, of course, of Georgia, and we will be doing everything we can to ensure Senator Warnock returns.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, that's right. Well, I hope so. Wow. And now what happens? They're going to have to vote before the end of the year, right? When
December
is the runoff?
6th is the
December 6th. Mm-hmm.
December 6th is the election, and now we have the luxury of all eyes on Georgia. So we already have people on the ground. We will be doing continue to do banking, texting, docking. There will be advertising and assuring the voters that they do need to return the person that has been voting for all the things they need, health care, the cap on insulin for $35, voted to make sure we got a Supreme Court justice that looks like us, voting to make sure we got the infrastructure, the tech bill. These are all the accomplishments that he voted for. And I can't imagine why, with reason, a person would want to take a chance that there would be someone who has no political expertise or policy experience to trust them to do that. So it is about power. It's not about what will work in the best interest of the state of Georgia.
So now they're saying that Trump is going to announce that he's running for president again today, like 1:00, I think the time is that's supposed to go down. What's your reaction to hearing that?
Well, it's America. It's a free country, and anybody can run, as proven, and can win if we don't be careful. So you can't stop anything that he thinks that specifically after this election, that he thinks that this is the America we want to see, with violence against our elected officials, poll workers, candidates that we want to get rid of women's rights to choose, of people's right to marry, of Social Security and Medicare. No, I don't think that's what the country wants. So, but it'll be up to him to make his case. Anyone can run, as we say, obviously. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what his party does in this instance.
Yeah, I agree.
But they
with
create
that
for it. So
yeah, they sure did. All right, so here closer to home, LA mayor still up for grabs, I suppose they say. I know Karen Bass is, they say, widening the gap, but I don't understand. What does that mean, widening the gap? Why can't they just call it?
Well, for the simple reason I shared with you, there's still 1 million votes out. I'm not sure how many are still left in the mayor's race, but a considerable amount, I suspect. Typically, before they would call a race, they pretty much are sure that the other candidate, even if they had every vote, would not be able to surpass the person that's ahead. So we have a run today. She's 20-some thousand votes ahead currently. We'll see if she is after today. I typically would say on Friday, you pretty much after a while get a sense of the trend of voting, is what we say. You've watched nationally, as you said. You've heard talk about the percent left to vote, the trends of the percent of votes that a person gets, depending on where the votes are coming from. And so once a person starts getting a greater percentage of the votes from certain areas, key areas, that now the set in, and it's a little difficult. I've been trained to look at percentages. So when the percentages are 15%, it's a lot more difficult to get back in the game to defeat a person that has that greater margin in percentages. We always look at votes, but I look at percentages.
It's interesting you say that, because I was listening to a report last night that was talking about the sheriff's race, right? Luna against Villanueva, and Chief Luna was significantly ahead, and the reporter said that in order for Villanueva to catch up, he would have to get 56% of the remaining of the outstanding votes. And he
Yeah.
said, "Now that's a tough hill to climb." And I was just thinking how, it is in the percentages. That's where the nitty gritty really is.
Yeah. I
You think?
wasn't, I didn't get an A in statistics, but I did get that part.
That's right. Right. All right. So, what about I don't know if you look to Long Beach there. I want to go ahead and announce that he's the first African American mayor in the city of Long Beach, and that's historic and everything. But you can't really say it because they haven't called it. But he is significantly ahead, and that's the race with Rex Richardson versus Susie Price. And so
Yes.
what you're saying is we should look at the percentages there as that one grows, but the needle doesn't seem to be moving.
Yeah, he seems to be consistently. I've been a longtime supporter of Rex and the processes and the policies that he subscribes to for his community. And I think he'll be an outstanding mayor. The percentages are significant. And so there's no doubt in my mind that he, nor Robert Garcia for Congress, there from Long Beach, will be representing.
I saw a post from Dr. Garcia. He's already in Washington going to freshman orientation.
That's what I'm
It's a
telling you.
wrap.
It's a wrap, as they say. The fat lady has sung.
The fat lady has sung. Good stuff. I think he'll do a good job too. I like Dr. Garcia for what he's a very progressive thinker, innovative municipal leader. That guy there, and so congratulations to him. I'm just trying to see. I need to be able to go ahead and announce Rex Richardson, Mayor Rex Richardson. I want to say it when it's official. That's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think certainly by Friday's results.
Okay, you say by Friday. Okay, that's a good one.
Friday's results will probably sink in. Yeah, for certain. They'll pretty much lock in. There's still some races, though, that are really just razor thin, and which we are going to really have to continue to count. I think the supervisor race in the 3rd district between Senator Hertzberg and Lindsay Horvath, that's probably going to take a lot more counting to get the final there. Just some races just are razor thin, are closer than others, but especially with a lot of votes left to count. But we'll see where they are on Friday.
Carolyn, I saw a lot of TV ads for different, Congress people. And quite honestly, there's one that just they were on almost every commercial break. It looked like that's the race in Orange County. That was Michelle Steele and the guy, Jay Chin. And I got to be honest with you, the candidates scare me a little bit. The Chinese influencing the NBA and all this whole stuff that she was putting out there, and mentioning that the Chinese government was basically embedded in our political landscape, and it really was kind of scary listening to her. But she won. And so why do you think she was able to prevail so strongly?
First of all, she was the incumbent, number one. Number two, she had, to me, some of the most denigrating and negative ads that I'd seen in a long, long time. The personal attacks reached a level that really, I'm surprised people would still vote for her. I'd be concerned that that's her. She signed on to that level of denouncing someone else's character, picturing them in that way. As a immigrant herself, it was kind of shocking, actually. But they're still counting votes. I don't know that did they call her race?
They called her race
sure
already.
Whether they called it. Okay, they called it. Yeah. Yeah, and Jay's a good guy too. So some of these races, I look at Mandela Barnes, how close. in North Carolina, Sherry. Some of these races are so close, and you just wonder what more could we have done. But you have to make decisions nationally. When races are like 6, 7 points down, and you got races that are 3 points, you make a decision about putting your money where you put your money. But there's always other extenuating circumstances as well. But what would have been great if we had received one more Senate seat is that we would be in the position because two seats.
A lot of
I
people.
didn't vote. It's not important. Yeah, it is important.
A lot of people, as you walk around and talk to people are saying, we just want to save democracy. We want to save democracy. And I began to reflect. I really need to know, what does that exactly mean? Like, we're practicing democracy, as no matter which way it goes, red wave or not, or whatever they were talking about, expecting to happen. Certainly the fact that we're even going to the polls and we have the freedom to choose is democracy. But what do people mean by saying we're saving democracy?
Well, saving democracy to me has the ability to vote, and people trying to block you from voting. Uh, when people are going to challenge every race and say it was a fraud, that was a huge situation in 2020, as you know, where every state they were trying to challenge the results of the election. Voting is democracy. And so when we say saving democracy, we have to get these people that want to deny, election deniers. There were 167 some people running for office that's democracy. They're people that in Arizona, the guy Secretary of State against Adrian right out said he would block any. And so you cannot let these people be in charge and have the authority over our elections. So I know people understand that the presidency is important, the Senate is important, but also is important our government, more importantly, secretaries of state, because they do run the elections. The wealthy and the powerful, with of money, they share a passionate personal commitment to the democratic political process. They spend outrageously because they expect a real return on their investment at the expense of the rest of us, to be quite honest. So I want to say to people, if you read $1 million, tax bank voted for the first time, thank you. Door knocked in your community. If you played a part, no matter how small, thank you, because it does make a difference.
Dr. Weber is still our Secretary of State of California. She won her race, right?
Absolutely. Dr. Weber is going to continue to be our Secretary of State, and we could not have had a better choice. She understands voting rights, how important and significant it is, and she's constantly got programs to reach out to our college students and our high school students, reminding them of why it's important to vote and how their vote matters. It's an ongoing education, really, nationally, to be quite honest. But we are very fortunate to have Dr. Shirley Weber as our Secretary of State.
Yeah, she's come on Coffee Conversations a few times. From the same neighborhood we are. San
Mm-hmm.
Diego.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, good, good. All right, that's what's up now. All right, so now you say by going back to Karen Bass and Rick Caruso, a lot of people that I talk to, they're still trying to figure out, how did Rick Caruso get endorsements of Snoop Dogg and Sweet Alice over there in Watts and a few other prominent, black faces out there who threw their weight behind Rick Caruso. And so the question I'm getting is why?
Well, a lot of politics is relationships. To his credit, Rick Caruso, and through philanthropy, has contributed to those communities and to that particular community, Watts. And it's not surprising to those of us that know that they would not support that relationship because they've had it. And so to them, they know that. But uh, when you start talking about the office of mayor, uh, relationships matter, which I think is what's proving to help uh, Congressmember Bass because she has formed organizations, whether it's Community Coalition and partnerships with other ministers, different uh, throughout the throughout her time, whether she was a Speaker of the House in the Assembly, as she was a congressional member, she's always been in the community. And so people know her. And when you know someone, even with attack ads, they don't go over so well because you know the person and you've seen their work. Uh, I think those collaborations are what's holding her in the lead that she has at this time. Has always been about community and working together. If you'll recall, right after the incident in City Hall, she called together a group of city leaders, and she was determined that all the work that they've all been doing all this time, faith-based leaders, community advocates, CBOs, uh, community-based organizations, she was not going to that one incident throw them off track of working together as they have, and knowing that we need it more than ever with our housing situation, our healthcare. I think that's what has dwelled more in the minds of the more in the minds with voters that voted for her. It's I always say it's not that the other candidate necessarily is bad. It's just that one candidate has track record, even more so of what the community thinks is needed at the time. She
You
just
know, you
read a based campaign from day one.
you can see even with Caruso when I watch the debates, clearly Karen Bass and Rick Caruso have a relationship outside of going up against each other, having worked together. I'm sure their paths have crossed and even done some coalition building and cooperation in the community in the past, because you could tell they were very cordial to each other. I mean, they debated, yes, but you could tell that I got some respect for you.
Well, he's
That's
honored
fine.
her. A lot of people don't even
Yeah.
realize that as chair of the USC board, he's even honored Karen Bass in the past. But it's not personal. It's politics,
That's right.
But when you have $100 million extra, I guess you do what you need to do.
It is extra. You
It just
paying
didn't
for
work.
it. Yikes. That's an expensive, didn't work. Bad. Well,
Well,
it's interesting. The people with a lot of money, I mean, it gives them the wherewithal. And this is a free country. It gives them the wherewithal to run for office, to do whatever they want to do. I was reflecting as this morning as I'm listening to this isn't political, but still certainly, Jeff Bezos giving $100 million to. I know he gave some to $100 million to Van Jones. Oh my God, I don't know. I can't remember who did he give the $100 million to? Shame on me. I can't remember. It'll come to me in a minute. But folks are giving out a lot of money, and then he's, Caruso is investing $100 million into his campaign to try to make Los Angeles a better place in his eyes. And wow, what expensive propositions those are.
Yeah, absolutely. Many of us just stop and think what $100 million could have done for housing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just don't know. The strategy might have been, if I was going to run, is to build some affordable housing that I could demonstrate this is what life could be like here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So, but everybody has their different approaches, and he ran. I always commend people for running because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of personal time. It's a lot on their family and friends. And you have to tend to try to think that people do want to, especially if they've served before, like he has in different capacities with the city, that they do care about what's going on. But for this time and place, is this the right person for everything we need and need to do? Karen just has a lot of relationships. For me, my early support had to do with, I understand that it's going to take money to get done what needs to happen in terms of housing in particular. And the fact that Karen has those resources from the federal tax at the federal level. You see, she already had the HUD housing person come out. That's what's going to be important. It's going to take city, county, state, and federal resources to try to turn this housing crisis around. And relationships do become important. And I'm counting on her to use those relationships to minimize. It's not going to be an overnight process, but maybe cut down on some of the delay that we've seen in the past. And not just a temporary housing, some permanent housing for a lot of people. And renters are in deep distress point. So it's an all-encompassing, complicated issue. But hopefully she'll use her resources and contacts and be open to ideas of approaches to solving the problem. And that's critical as well.
She got to help reassemble the city council first. Look like that might be job one after a couple of weeks ago. My goodness, will our city council?
They seem to be assembling themselves on their own in terms of the election. There's going to be quite a few changes, it would appear. So let's see how they figure out collaboratively how to move the city forward. Plus, remember, the council already passed they're already projecting that redistricting will from the future on be done by independents. And then there's also, I think it's the right direction to add to the city council seats. They're looking at that, and they should look at that, because if you look across the nation, the number of people that they have to serve is kind of insurmountable for you to reach out and share with your council member. They have so many people to oversee. So the oversight, I think, is too great for any one person to even really be that successful. And so I'm glad they're looking at increasing that by 6 or 8 members, which I think is good for the city and good for the people.
Yeah. Well, that redistricting thing is really, really something. I remember back when Bernard Parks was District 8, and they redistricted and took his, Lamert Park out of his district. I mean, it actually affected some projects some events I was working with him on, but it was really kind of crazy how, they redrew the line. In terms of this last redistricting, it's suspect to me. This is my personal opinion, because I did a little bit of work with the census, and then COVID hit, and I just feel like, as a matter of fact, they shut everything down the day that we were all of us census people from all over the county had assembled in the Hall of Administration downtown Los Angeles. And they canceled the meeting because, they were beginning this lockdown. And then our event, and then right behind it was the actual press conference where the Board of Supervisors and Mayor Garcetti and Sheriff and all the people were there to shut down the city. I just don't believe we got the census completed because there was just too much going on. So how can we really?
That's possible.
Yeah. So how can we really, report an accurate count so that redistricting could also be accurate? And that's my question.
Well, I think we have to start early for certain and get organized to do that, number one. But also, I think the fact that we have different models of how to achieve it is a problem as well. So the county and the use independent people, and there was questions about things, but I think much. So anytime it's independent, it's not a win for them, have skin in the game whatsoever. And they're just looking at the facts and the models that we're supposed to look at based on what the census data reflects. And it's more, I think, community focused. So, I'm not one to dwell on what happened in the past. I think we're moving in the right direction on that issue. The council has spoken on that issue. And so we have bigger fish to fry now.
Okay, that's what's up. One time we were on Coffee Conversations together, and I think we were talking. Remember the gun rights guy up there from Sacramento? We were all chatting together. Okay, but we talked. As we were signing off, we actually toyed around with the idea of a new California Constitution, and I've always thought about that. It's like, what would that look like? Like, what would be the process? What would it look like? How do we redesign our Constitution to fit, I guess, current times? And then if not, I think we were talking about the recall effort. I believe that's when we were on together when we were talking about the recall effort. I believe that was the subject for that. But what would that look like if we got together to redesign the California Constitution?
Well, the legislature would have to come up with some recommendations, which they have in terms of recall efforts. I'm not sure what bill the governor ended up signing, but they did come up with legislation so that it is not just that easy to say we're going to recall people. And I too agree with you that not only at the city council level with their charters, I think everyone needs to have maybe how we always have bylaw committees. I think we probably should always have a committee in the case of the city that annually looks at the charter. Same thing with our state constitution. There should be a committee that's always looking at how do we improve it rather than leaving things there for 20, 30 years that may no longer be viable or make sense. And so to me, that would be the way. It's for the governor. He appoints committees and creates committees and people all the time. That's probably the best place to start is to have a committee that does that. If not at the governor level, then the legislature could do that themselves.
Wow, very interesting, very interesting, very, very interesting. Now we are, one of the top topics of the day is the crime that's happening, rising crime everywhere. I just think people have kind of maybe lost their mental health after, being locked down in COVID, and a lot of stuff is spurring people to, violent crimes and all that. But some of the politicians seem to have, what would you say, politicized the crime issues. I mean, what can a politician really do about crime? Like, what's the real
That's another complex issue because, people get desperate. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's the conditions. We should be supporting uh, policymakers that are looking at improving conditions. Some people want to get rid of the police. Some people, I was at a council a debate where one person recommended we can just police ourselves. I said, well, how's that working for us?
Right.
Now,
Right.
I mean, if that was working, tell me where that's working anywhere, so we
Right.
can use the model. But I think it's and you hear a candidate saying, "Well, we're going to add this many police." Well, that sounds good, but historically, we're lucky to get 20 or 30 cadets in at a time. So how do you get
Mm-hmm.
to those thousand numbers? When this is the reality of what
Mm-hmm.
totally support community because I've seen it work where the officers either live there or if they don't live there, they've taken it upon themselves to know the community, know the business people in the community, know the community leaders. It makes a major difference. And
It
and knowing
works.
some of the people, it works.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
does.
works.
People feel
Absolutely.
comfortable sharing with them. Yeah, it's been proven that it works.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we as a community have to. I know LMU has done studies around that as well. Professor Gare over there, uh, and we just have to have councils and legislators that really come out and support that. It's a funding issue too, though. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but now we have quite a bit of money. So I'll give you an example. We have I'm uh, a consultant at LAUSD,
Mm-hmm.
and we have public safety magnet schools. So we need the people in that understand people, that care about people in those positions. I've always said policing is a condition of the heart,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't be out there afraid and afraid of people, no matter what your race, religion, color, whatever. And that's in training as well. But if you start people young with understanding the role and understanding how, and we have to do a better job with our people coming back, giving them a second opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
coming back into society. I know there are a couple of legislators that are particularly because if people feel they have a skill or tool, Gascon has said that actually. If they have a skill or tool that they can use when they come out to feed their families, take care of themselves, they won't have to come back. They don't have to
Mm-hmm.
recycle. But right now we have a total recycling situation because we are not investing people that have made a mistake and giving them an opportunity to uh, have a future. That's
You know, that's a really interesting notion. I went to um, a meet and greet for one of the mayoral candidates in Long Beach, and the brother was in the audience was had just finished serving, like 25 years or something like that, right? And he had come home to start a nonprofit that was helping, youth, and then also helping other people that might be coming out of the penitentiary to, like you said, he's facilitating the reinvestment back into these people coming from being incarcerated. And we're going to have him on to talk about his experiences there, because he's just a really inspiring man, and I just really love his story, of doing that work of coming out of the prison system and getting to work to give back to his community. He could be, feeling sorry for himself or whatever, but he's not. He's coming out to make his community a better place. And I think those are the type of people we need to find, invest in, and uplift in the community. I think absolutely 100%.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to have. The more we talk about these issues, and people understand some of the positive things that are happening, we just need more education about it and the possibilities for people to just understand it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is possible. Wow. All right. All right. Now, so you say we got till Friday to see. We should wait till Friday, and then hopefully we can close the book on this chapter. The dance will be over.
The dance will be coming to an end. Like I said, there's some razor sharp races that it's going to go on, but I think you'll have a pretty good feel by Friday where most of the races are and standing. And I want to thank you for always trying to make sure the community knows what's going on at all times on key issues. And forward to chatting with you again on other ones.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Now, how many jobs do you have? You said you were a consultant with the LAUSD, and I know you're busy. I mean, you got to be busy in your role in the California Democratic Party, the National Party. I mean, Carolyn Fowler, are you Jamaican?
No, not that I know about. Not that I know about. But I just went to Jamaica recently.
Nice.
But it's just there's so many issues, and we just need more people volunteering and getting engaged and staying active, understanding what's going on in their community. And I'm always urging that. Of course, women to run for office.
That's right. All right. Well, you need to run for office. I say Carolyn for president.
No,
She's
Carolyn's
like,
time
no.
for that is past. I'm more a behind the scenes person.
That's right.
Behind the scenes person.
Nice. Nice.
But
All
thank you
right.
so much again, Greg. I've enjoyed
Thank
our
you
conversation.
so much. Yes.
And you
All
have
right.
a great, happy Thanksgiving.
You have a great Thanksgiving as well, and I'll speak with you soon. Thank you. All right. Yeah. Carolyn Fowler with us there. Give us the 411 on, these elections. Got the experts coming through to sip coffee and chop it up with us. It's a beautiful thing, right? We'll check back with her again soon to see what's next, because I don't think we get much of a break here from election information. Next year they'll be starting back up again, because what do we have? 2024 is the presidential situation, so a lot to see, a lot to learn, a lot to keep up with in these changing times, these critical times. You can find this podcast on Coffee Conversations with Greg J, our Facebook page. Thank you so much. We're approaching 1,000 members, friends, likes, I guess you could say, on the Facebook page, and I'm really happy about that. Thank you. Keep going to Beach City Radio, beachcityradio.com. to learn about our trip to Ghana, West Africa. You know how it is. We do have these culturally relevant conversations from a global perspective. This is what we're doing right now. We reach from Africa all the way to African America. That's what we're doing. Repurposing the audio for a podcast. You can get it wherever you get your favorite podcast. That's at Spreaker, iHeart, Apple, all of those places like that. You can just type in Coffee Conversations with Greg J. It'll be there. Well, that's me it. Have a great day. Love one another. Love one another. Love one another. Peace and blessings.